Oh yeah. Oh yeah, beautiful. All right, I'm working on my intake manifold here. I'm getting ready to put the top plenum on. I actually got some silicone on there already. I didn't have gaskets for this because who knows where you could even get them. I'd have to cut them, and it's just easier to use silicone. It'll be fine. I'm gonna actually tape up and put a bead of silicone on the outside too when I'm done, but I'll make a video of that. But I got the gaskets and spacers all glued on there, or silicone on there, and I actually did a bead of silicone around those on the outside too, so it all seals up and looks nice. So that's where we're at right now. I'll get this bolted on there and get everything glued, and we'll go from there. All right, I got it all sealed up, got it all bolted together. I was gonna do like a tape lines on both sides of that and make like a nice bead, but it just didn't work out for me that way. The tape just didn't want to stick with that silicone already gushed out a little bit, and I just smoothed it up. It looks fine. I mean, you step back, it's not noticeable. It's fine. And these are all sealed up. I glued the carburetor gaskets on here. I've been thinking about debating on doing 1/2-inch wooden spacers on this. I can't decide. I might not. That's just still up for debate. And I put the bolts in there. I actually will probably go and get like to a hardware store and get some like button-headed bolts, just because I don't know. I feel like it's just a little bit less, stuff restricting the air. But I don't know if that matters or not. I feel like there might be some turbulence around that bolt head, but I don't know. There probably also will be in other spots too, like in these corners that aren't perfect. So I don't know. I might just leave it. That's probably worth 1/4 of a horsepower on a good day. So, and then underneath here, the bolts are the bolts for the top stick through there. I put extra long ones so they stuck all the way through. That way I can put a nut on the bottom, a nut and a lock washer on the bottom, as well as a lock washer on top. I don't want any chance of those bolts ever coming out and destroying my engine, so they're gonna get nutted, maybe double nutted underneath. That way they'll never have a problem. So that's where I'm at right now. I might get some button-headed bolts. If not, we're gonna roll with these, and I guess I'll go ahead and put my carburetors back on just for kind of storage, and that'll be it. So about ready to move on to something else. This is pretty much done completely. I think my next thing I'll do is get the camshaft and put it in, and do a few things with that. I'll go over in the video. So I appreciate you listening. Thanks. All right, I decided to go ahead and put the button-headed bolts down in my intake. Just a little bit less airflow restriction. Just looks a little bit neater. I just wanted to do that. I don't know, it just made me feel better about it. Just little things. And then underneath, I double nutted where the bolt sticks through. Put a lock washer and double nutted. So that way, hopefully those will never ever come loose in there. But that's where we're at now. So getting ready to bolt it all together. And I did decide to go with some 1/2-inch wooden spacers. Here they are right here. I just think it's just a classic look on a tunnel ram. So that's a little update for now. Another thing I also did on this was I took a sharp punch and I punched little divots in between the runners here. That way when the gasket goes on there and seals down, it kind of holds it in place. I actually got that from Steve Dulcich. He put a video one time on that, doing that to a head. I might do it to my heads too. That way the gaskets stay in place. Because sometimes you get where this gasket will be not very tight in there, and it'll suck out to one side like a little bit, and then you got a gasket hanging out in your port, which can hurt your power quite a bit. So that's another little trick I did on this too. All right, there it is, the intake manifold in its final form. everything's set up, everything's done. That could be bolted on an engine right now, besides tuning the carburetors, of course, but everything's done, set up, tight, ready to go. So we'll start from the bottom. We got the intake manifold fully ported by myself, bolted the top on, sealed the top up, made these spacers to space it up. I talked about in other videos, those are on there. Modified this bracket, tapped the intake manifold, bolted on, got all my linkage set up in the right spots, got all the jam nuts tight, all my carburetor bolts are bolted down. Got these Summit Racing fuel line kits, just for dual feed fuel lines. Got those set up when everything's tight with sealant in it, or sealant on all the threads. So I got my 1/2-inch wooden spacers in there with gaskets glued on both sides. I always like to glue my gaskets to one surface. That way I don't have to worry about having a loose gasket. It's just attached to the spacer and the intake. And then I got these K&N velocity stack with filters. So that's pretty much it. I got the return springs are all done. I had that video on that. So that's it. That's everything. She's ready. So the next videos will be moving on to other things. So that's it on the intake. Thanks for watching so far, and we'll keep you updated. All right, thanks.